Welcome back. Before the break, we plugged Zach's 10 Things column on ESPN+. So, Zach, let's start here. Tell us what you like about Luka Doncic.
There is nothing more powerful in the NBA than a 6'7", 6'8" wing who can score from everywhere in any way, that can see the floor from everywhere. And so I've noticed this season, Luka's getting a little nasty down on the block. He's getting a little shoulder checks, getting a little mean down there. And I really like that because you know in the playoffs, even if you're a LeBron James, you need every tool in the toolbox to beat the best defense because you're going to see switches, you're going to see mismatches. And if you can't punish smaller guys in the post, your team's going to suffer. But Luka, he's getting a little nasty down there. And you guys know he might be the best passer in the league, certainly top 3. If you double him on the block with 4 shooters around him, forget about it, it's over. So we know he can score on the pick and roll. We know he's going to shoot step-back threes. If he adds a post-up game on mismatches, it's a problem.
Well, I agree, and he is getting nasty on the low block, Zach, and I think it was a learning experience for him last year in the bubble when he played against the Clippers that he needed to have that edge. But I'm going to say this, though, Zach. When are we going to start holding Luka accountable on the defensive end? When we going to start holding him accountable for us making winning plays that don't show up in the stat sheets? We watch a lot of stars. You could go from top to bottom, from Giannis to LeBron James to Kawhi Leonard, guys that are diving on the floor for loose balls, taking charges, chase down blocks, anchoring the defense, doing those type of things. When are we going to see that out of Luka? I think that's the next step that he has to take for us being a superstar player and converting those historical numbers into big wins.
I think he saw those post moves from the perk tape from back in the day that we've been running here on The Jump, and maybe that's where he got those moves. All right, so Zach.
Perk was nasty.
Yeah, so there you go. He's dropped that shoulder. He knows where it's coming from. All right, so Zach, tell us what you like. What you like? I'm sure you did. Zach, tell us what you like about Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown, my God, you can tell that this guy has put in the work. He's not just shooting jumpers. He's not just running rinse sprints. Look at his footwork, jab steps, step backs, little Smitty fake spins. You can tell this guy has been in the lab breaking down every move into 5 or 6 mini moves. So when he's got you on an island, he's got so much footwork. It's almost, I don't want to go this far, but it's almost Kobe-esque. And look, everyone says the mid-range shot is dead. The mid-range shot is not what anyone wants. You guys know to win a championship, you need 1 or 2 guys who, when the defense is taken away, everything else can go into the mid-range and get a decent shot. And Jaylen Brown's footwork has been unbelievable. The guy's averaging 27 a game. He might be in the most improved player conversation.
Right now, to me, he is the most improved player. And I tell you, we saw an athlete who's now grown into a player, a two-way player. He's getting it done on both ends. And yes, his footwork, his ball handling, his confidence is really shining through right now. And I tell you what, like, when you put the work in and you see the results and you're benefiting from that. Like, his points per game is going, the average is going up. And now you're seeing, oh man, this is what I worked on in the summer, and I'm able to pull this move off. Because sometimes you can work on a move, Perk, you know this too, you can go work on a move and it's good when you're in slow motion, but when you're going against an elite defender and it's not quite working, yeah, you kind of scrap that. So you can just see the confidence in this game and in his bop and the way he just moves around the court. And he can score at any level, at any time, on anyone.
All right, and last but not least, Zach.
Preach.
Zach, what do you like about the new look Rockets?
I just think the Rockets have all these NBA characters. It's like NBA Mad Libs come to life. There's John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Gordon's doing stuff. Oh, Victor Oladipo's there. Number one, they're playing super hard. They're number 1 in defense since the James Harden trade. Let me repeat that. The Houston Rockets have the best defense in the NBA in the last 8 to 10 games. That's ridiculous. And John Wall, I'm so happy for John Wall because he was one of my absolute favorite players to watch in the NBA when he was healthy. A woefully underrated passer. The guy is a visionary passer. He made corner threes a thing in Washington. He conjured them from nothing with his passing. And every night we are seeing flashes, and sometimes more than flashes, entire quarters, halves, of vintage John Wall, streaking up the floor, lefty dunks, hitting people for corner threes. It's been wonderful to see, and I really hope it keeps up.
Look, it's crazy how the transformation went from ISO ball to team ball. Not only are they playing great defense and being tied on the string, you see guys helping the helper, guys fighting to get over screens, guys talking and communicating on the defensive end. Offensively, it's player movement, it's ball movement, it's fun to watch. As a former player, that's a team that I could point at and say, I want to be a part of that team. John Wall is having fun. DeMarcus Cousins is showing back what he could do. Christian Woods possibly could make the All-Star game the way that he's been playing. But look, I coach a third grade team in AAU, and if I had one team to pick right now to show them film on how to play team ball, it would be the Houston Rockets.
Wow.
He said it, and I also, that's saying something, but I also think Christian Wood is in the run for most improved as well, because he's playing lights out. And I think, you know, the new coaching staff and everybody coming in is just giving these guys new life. They want to show that they still deserve to be in this league. They, meaning John Wall as well as DeMarcus Cousins. And this is a great opportunity for Christian Wood to show what he really can do. Because we didn't, like, you saw flashes in Detroit. Now you're really seeing Christian Wood flourish into like I said, a legit player, possibly an all-star. So I think ball movement, player movement, and having packages for each player. At some point, you want to highlight DeMarcus Cousins in pick and roll and in the post and give John Wall sometimes to have isolation moves or putting those two into position to succeed, because that's a tough cover. And they're getting that opportunity. They've bought into what is being sold to them, and that's why they're playing great basketball right now.
And by the way, shout out to Steven Silas, right? Like, so much stuff that he had to deal with to begin this season, and to have them playing the way they're playing. Man, that's on him, too, for sure. So shout out.
It's the Utah Jazz. They're the hottest team in the NBA, winning 10 straight games, which they did do last season. Utah is the only team with multiple 10-game win streaks over the last 2 seasons. And they've been winning in style, too, recording 9 wins by double digits over a 10-game span for the first time since 1997. And Utah won a franchise record 64 games that season and reached the finals. The Jazz have been in tune from beyond the arc, making 184 three-pointers during the winning streak, which is pretty impressive. The team that has three-pointers in a 10-game span, at least 15 every single game for the last 10 games, that's what the Utah Jazz have been able to do. They're playing with style. We've got Adrian Wojnarowski back with us, and if you listen to the Woj Pod, you know he's already been trying to uncover what the key is, because you interviewed Mike Conley, and you talked about how this team is uniquely built to be successful in a season such as this. Why is that?
Well, a team that has everybody back from last year, a program, really a program under Quinn Snyder, and the one new player, Derek Favors, returned to Utah after having played several years there. And, you know, you talk to other GMs who have young teams or have teams where they've added a lot of new pieces. They talk about, we didn't have summer league. We really didn't have a training camp. We can't practice that much. They feel like the Jazz too, and they point to it and say, that team, the way they're built and the continuity there, it really lends itself to this pandemic season.
All right, now we don't normally do this, but I feel like we have to have a conversation while you're here, Woj, about Bradley Beal and the Washington Wizards. Right now, he's leading the NBA in scoring by 5 full points, but it seems like it doesn't matter at all. In fact, the last 10 games when he scored at least 40 points, they've still walked away with the loss. So what does that mean about his future, or what are you hearing about potential trade talks as we have the trade deadline looming?
Well, trade deadline's just under 2 months away, March 25th. I talked to Bradley Beal's agent the other day, Mark Bartelstein, and he said the only conversations he's had with Bradley and the only focus he has right now is on trying to get this Wizards team turned around. They're starting to get some players back out of the health and safety protocols. They'll have some more bodies to compete. But listen, he's been a very unique player in that marketplace. He surprised some people when he signed that shorter-term extension, a year ago. He's still under contract through next year. He could opt out in 22-23. But I think this is a conversation for the Wizards and Beal that perhaps has had in the offseason. He is not going to be on the trade market here in the near future, and he's not expressed really at all yet that he's ready to move on. He has loved that city, that organization, and he has fought through a lot there. He's fighting through a lot right now.
I'm just curious, because we were all in tune to the James Harden trade, and obviously that was a big deal. But what would the market be like for a guy like Bradley Beal, kind of almost comparing those two situations?
Massive. It would be massive. And I think every team in the league would have interest in trying to find a way. Do we have the assets to get Bradley Beal? Do we think we could keep him long term? But at 27 years old, this is a player, and especially at that wing position, and the kind of character he has, the kind of leader he is, he fits anywhere. And listen, teams every day in this league are monitoring this situation. They want to know if he gets lodged free in terms of the Wizards being willing to talk about trades. It is a daily conversation among other teams. But Washington, Beal, they're not there yet.
Well, Bradley Beal right now in his 9th season, obviously not showing any signs of slowing down. Paul Pierce, Jalen Rose, you've played in the league. Uncle P, if he called you right now, what would be the advice you would give Mr. Beal?
I understand his frustrations. I was in a similar predicament in Boston. My 9th year, we were the worst team in the league. I'm in the middle of my prime. Behind closed doors, didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So what I would tell Bradley Beal is just be patient. You know, play out the year, see what happens then. Come summertime, they may get a high draft pick. They can trade for a great player to come play next to you. I know it's frustrating, Bill. You want to be recognized as one of the top players in the league because, listen, if he was on a top-tier team, he'd be considered the best two-guard in the league. And that's frustrating when you're in your prime. So just be patient and see what happens this summer.
I agree with you. He's definitely at a crossroad. He loves D.C., and also, everybody loves being the guy. And now that they traded John Wall, he is that. However, P, they're 6-19 when he scores 40. Don't go in the office and ask to be traded now. But this offseason, and I believe in their general manager, Tommy Shepard, but this offseason, they really have to address this roster. Because when I watch them play, the teams that they're losing to are better than them. That's why his 40 don't matter. It ain't that he ain't a game-changing player. Woj is exactly right. Any team in the league will want a 27-year-old Bradley Beal that averages 35 points.
Right.
He averaging 35, P. I know you could appreciate that.
It's tough to watch those go to waste.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.